From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Tonight, Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka blames Nigeria's security challenges on distortion of history and selective punishment for lawbreakers. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara raises alarm over threat to life, indicts 2 policemen in alleged plots to assassinate him. Independent National Electoral Commission clears the air on election results transmission procedure, insists electronic transmission of results has come to stay. And daughter of Alexander Dugin, a close ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin, dies in a suspected car bombing outside Moscow. Nigerians must always put the country's history in perspective in order to understand security challenges facing the country at any point in time. The position of elder statesman and Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, he told Channels Television's Ladi Akeredolona current affairs program Newsnight that using the attack on the Catholic Church in Ondo State as one of the several examples, his temperament would not allow a no reaction to the outrages.
My temperament does not accept easily that anyone should chase me out of my God-given earth. So it's a temperamental thing as well. The idea that you can unleash terror on me because you want my little patch of territory, or you want my soul. That is, you want to subjugate me. You want to turn me into a slave. Well, I will sort that out first, and then I'll make up my mind whether I want to leave. So each outrage, unfortunately, has the opposite effect. Whether the outrage is taking place in Benue, whether it's taking place in Kaduna, whether it's taking place in Owo, or whether it's taking place right here along the border. You know, we've been subjected also to this lunacy of this subjugation mentality, which some minority people hold. And I find it very difficult to accept, be chased out of my own entitled portion of the earth. Many people just either do not know history or do not understand the purpose of history. And then there's a different group also who are very selective about history. They know how to distort or misuse history. Take, for instance, when this incursion of the Fulani herdsmen began, and the Miyetti Allah, their spokesman, said in Borno, I think it was in Borno, said, "We once ruled this place, and we can take back our land anytime we want." Remember that statement? I've forgotten it. In the midst of the harrowing, the trauma of these people, somebody comes gloating and then citing selective portion of history. Last time I was a criminal, and I said it at the time. I said, this person should be arrested and locked up. Who says he wants to repeat this history of conquest? He's actually doing it. He's admitting either knowledge before, after, or support anyway. And I ask the question, so why are you, isn't there anything like hate speech anymore? Why are you proscribing IPOB without proscribing Miyetti Allah?
You can watch the full interview with Professor Soyinka on Newsnight. It airs tomorrow, Monday, August 22nd at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television.
Go!
Now, you may or may not have come across this video that went viral. It's of men in police uniform protesting in Kwara State over non-payment of salaries for over a year. However, the Kwara State Police Command has been providing clarification on the incident by dissociating itself from the video. In a statement, the police PRO, Okasomi Ajayi, says the persons seen in the video are police special constabularies recruited to complement the operation of community policing. Explains that the concept of recruitment of special constabularies is voluntary in nature, noted that they are not on monthly pay like the conventional policemen, and the constabularies were briefed before taking up the job, as it is not for full-time. Mr. Ajayi says due to their complaints, they met with the state government, and it was surprising to see them protest, claiming that they're being owed by the state government. However, the police PRO says the special constabularies are at liberty to honorably disengage from the service if they so wish. Meanwhile, police in Katsina State say they have neutralized a suspected terrorist during a raid on terrorist hideout at Maizuma village in Danja local government area of the state. According to the police, the raid followed a credible report of the terrorist convergence on the location. In addition to the killing of the terrorist, the group ringleader, identified as Sule Dawa, is reported to have escaped with fatal gunshot wounds. A statement by the police spokesperson says a suspected informant was also arrested with several weapons, 2 motorcycles and illicit substances. Other items recovered during the raid at the location include a locally fabricated gun, military camouflage, machetes and daggers, 100 bottles, and a gallon of spirit. Not done with the police, operatives of the Edo State Police Command, in collaboration with vigilante and hunters, on Saturday killed a kidnapped suspect in Iyok Forest, Esako West local government area of the state. And that's according to the command, which in a statement disclosed that a kidnapped victim who escaped the suspect's hideout on the same day had shared information with the police, following which the suspect was killed in a gun duel around his hideout as other members of his gang fled. The command also says that on the same day, on Saturday, it rescued 4 kidnapped victims following credible information that at about 9:50 p.m., hoodlums suspected to be kidnappers dressed in military uniforms and emerged from the bushes along the Benin-Akure Road, intercepted a Toyota Camry car with registration number MM528AA, and whisked away the occupants into the bushes. A statement adds that the operatives of the command immediately mobilized to the scene for rigorous bushcombing and rescue of the victims. The hoodlums, on sighting the operatives on their trail, opened fire on them, leading to a gun duel during which the kidnappers escaped, abandoning 4 of their victims. A fierce bushcombing is said to be ongoing to rescue the remaining kidnapped victims and arrest the fleeing gang members. We'll stay a bit longer on security, and this time from the southeast, 4 Catholic sisters have been kidnapped along the Umololo community along Okigwe-Nugu Expressway in Imo State. The latest abduction was confirmed in a statement issued by the Sister Zita Ehedoro, the Secretary General of the Sisters of Jesus the Savior. According to the statement, the 4 sisters were on their way to morning mass when they were abducted. The victims are identified as Johannes Modo, Christabel Echemazu, Liberata Mbamalu, and Benita Agu. While praying for the unconditional release of the 4 sisters, the statement also calls on all religious faithful to pray for their quick and safe return. The police also says they're working on rescuing the sisters. A police spokesperson of the state says men of the anti-kidnapping unit have been dispatched to comb the bushes along the area and to rescue them as soon as possible. You do remember that the Methodist prelate Samuel Uche was kidnapped a few months ago along the same axis. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, has charged Army cadets of Regular Corps 65 of the Nigerian Defense Academy to utilize their newly acquired combat skills and competences to surmount security challenges bedeviling the country. The Army Chief assures Nigerians that the Army, in collaboration with other security agencies, will speak to the insurgents and the bandits threatening the peace of the country in the language they understand, warning that their time is up. He made the comments during the battle inoculation phase of exercise Camp Highland, which wrapped up final exercises for Army cadets of the Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna State ahead of their passing out in October this year.
Experts believe that contemporary and emerging security challenges confronting the nation require a well-trained army to tackle the problem headlong. This is the reason the Nigerian Defense Academy has introduced counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency courses in its academic curriculum to expose would-be military officers to this important aspect of military training. Ahead of their passing out as officers, cadets of the 69 regular course have undergone an exercise called Exercise Camp Highland Battle Inoculation in Kachia, Kaduna State. The exercise is regarded by the Nigerian Army as a baptism of the final year Army cadets into battle. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, accompanied by top military officers, arrived to witness the exercise. The program features combat assault on a simulated object with live firing by a combat team of cadets, supported from the air by the Nigeria Air Force to inject realism into the exhibitions.
During that exercise, they assaulted an objective across River Benue. Then they moved to Jos for phase 2, which was the adventure phase. We are very familiar with that, the Shere Hills activities.
The Chief of Army Staff expresses satisfaction with the quality of the cadets' combat training after the recent review of the training curriculum in the academy.
You have had the packages that were introduced in the cadets, including airborne course, amphibious course, and others. These are courses that are hitherto done after passing out. But now, as cadets, they already have them embedded in them. And before the end of the year, when they pass out, they will be in the field. And we are going to see the display of the skill and competencies inculcated in these officers.
The Army boss also assures Nigerians that the ongoing military onslaught against bandits is yielding positive results.
The criminals, whether they are terrorists, whether they are bandits or kidnappers, I have said that before, time is up. And we'll talk to them in language they understand.
Ahead of the passing out of these cadets in October this year, the Nigerian Army is optimistic that the junior commanders will add value to ongoing operational efforts to restore peace and security in troubled parts of the country.
The former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Yakubu Dogara, is alleging that 2 police officers are conspiring with one Barau Joel Amos to take his life. Following the alleged threats by Mr. Dogara, he has petitioned the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, noting that Mr. Amos allegedly confessed to buying the rifles from the police officers with the intention of killing him and 3 others. The petition reads in part, I've been authoritatively informed that the said Barau Joel Amos has confessed that the reason he sought to buy the rifles is to kill me and 3 of my constituents, namely Barrister Estefanos Bala Gambar, Reverend Marcus Musa, and 1 Emmanuel in Tafawa Balewa local government area. He asked the IGP to ensure a thorough investigation into the matter to ensure justice is served. And in part 2, after the break, Nigeria Governors Forum denies receiving $100 million being proceeds from the Paris Club refund from consultants to finance state elections. That'll be in a moment. Welcome back. If it has joined us watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos, here's our top stories. Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka blames Nigeria's security challenges on distortion of history and selective punishment for lawbreakers. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, raises alarm over threat to life, indicts 2 policemen in alleged plot to assassinate him. Independent National Electoral Commission clears the air on election results transmission procedure, insists electronic transmission of results has come to stay. And daughter of a close ally to Russian President Vladimir Putin dies in a suspected car bombing. Politics now. Hundreds of youths in Imo State earlier today staged a solitary rally in support of the candidacy of Labour Party presidential candidates Peter Obi and his running mate Yusuf Baba Ahmed. The youths in their numbers took to the streets of Owerri bearing banners and chanting songs in support of the Labour Party candidates. Some of them who spoke to Channels Television say there is no other candidate who is more qualified than the former Anambra State Governor.
If you're not here, you are nowhere. It is time for the youth. Peter Obi is not going for presidency for himself. We are going from consumption to production. Now is the time. We have verified and we have seen it. It's time for the youth.
Yes, realizing the place, letting everybody know that we want our Nigeria back. That is the only thing that we want, and we are telling every individual that is here and every Nigerian out there to go to anywhere they register for their PVC and collect their PVC now, so that we all will join hands together and make Nigeria a better place.
Checking in on the PDP, a political support group, Articulated Global Movement, has pledged to galvanize 37 million votes for the presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party's candidate, Atiku Abubakar, in 2023. A group made the pledge at the inauguration of its National Executive Committee in Abuja, during which its national leader, Mariam Atiku Abubakar, and the Cross River State Deputy Governorship candidate, Emana Ambrose Amawe, said they will work to also keep the party united. The Articulated Global Movement is made up of women, youth and men, including former aspirants and PDP candidates vying for different political offices across the nation.
Everyone here knows this election is our chance to restore hope to millions of Nigerians who crave a better life. So as we gather here today to reflect on the theme of this event, we should all remember that from the lowest office to the highest, with the new Electoral Act, we're connected in victory and defeat. As I said earlier, we must go back to our units and words and ensure that we come together, pull resources together, and ensure that PDP is successful at all levels.
Now, the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu Kashim Shettima campaign has announced the composition of its Media and Communication Directorate. And the approved directorate of the campaign, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, former Managing Director of News Agency of Nigeria, will continue his role as Director of Media and Publicity. Mr. Dele Alake, a former Commissioner of Information in Lagos, will serve as Director of Strategic Communications. And the Minister of State for Labour, Mr. Festus Keyamo, will continue his role as spokesperson of the campaign as Director of Public Affairs. The directorate, approved by the presidential candidates, is made up of 3 departments and expected to unveil representatives and spokesmen in all states of the Federation. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission has cleared the air what it calls a misunderstanding of the procedure of elections management, especially as it concerns transmission of results. The Commission says the entire gamut of results management is provided for in sections 60, 62 and 64 of the Electoral Act 2022, appealing to Nigerians to avail themselves of the provisions of the Act. A statement by the Commission reads in part, "We wish to reassure Nigerians that the electronic transmission of results has come to stay." It also adds to the credibility and transparency of the process when citizens follow polling unit level results on the INEC result viewing portal on real time on election day. INEC says the procedure for result transmission remains the same as in recent governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun states, and there will be no change in all future elections, including the 2023 general elections. So the Nigeria Governors Forum has denied receiving $100 million or any other funds from Ned Nwoko to finance elections in any state. Mr. Nwoko had alleged that the NGF demanded and received the sum of $100 million to prosecute elections in some states. However, the Nigeria Governors Forum, in a statement signed by its head of media and public affairs, Abdulrazak Bello Barkindo, said Mr. Nwoko lied blatantly and told half-truths while speaking to journalists. A statement reads, in part, "The attempt by Ned to separate his own claim of $68 million as if it is not related to the claims of other consultants is being clever by half. All the consultants claim to have rendered the same or similar service of helping the states and the LGs to recover over-deducted Paris Club refunds by the federal government, performed some contracts to be paid from the Paris Club refunds. In 2021, the governors obtained an order from a federal high court in Abuja restraining the federal government from deducting the money from state accounts for the purpose of paying the disputed debt. The forum had also accused Mr. Malami of bias in handling the controversial debt, questioning his role in the process. To infrastructure development, the Senate Committee on Road Rehabilitation has visited Kano State on an inspection tour of ongoing federal road projects in the state and across the northwestern region. According to the chairman of the committee, Senator Kabir Abdullahi, a tour is to ascertain the level of work done by the Federal Road Maintenance Agency in line with the budget appropriated and to enable planning all federal roads in the country. The committee also paid a courtesy visit on Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, who expressed satisfaction with the performance of the agency on all ongoing road projects in the state.
This is a tour of the northwestern state by the Senate Committee on Road Rehabilitation. The committee are in Kano to ascertain the level of ongoing federal road projects as part of its oversight function in the northwest zone, made up of Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, Kebbi, and Zamfara states. Officials of the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FERMA, and members of the committee, led by its chairman, stop over at the Kano State Government House to brief Governor Abdullahi Ganduje of their mission to the state. The leader of the Senate Committee on Road Rehabilitation speaks on the inspection, which is aimed at ascertaining the level of completion of the roads and challenges to be addressed.
We are here to make sure that, yes, we visit these roads and then see the ongoing projects and those that are completed, so that, of course, we also look at those that need our attention because of the 2023 budget.
The governor is impressed with all the federal road projects being executed in Kano State as he restates his administration's commitment to infrastructural development.
We have a number of mega road projects that are going on that are beyond FEMA work. The Maiduguri to Kano Road, which has been abandoned for many years, work has resumed. Of course, Katsina to Kano, work is on. Kano to Dai, work is on. Kano, Zaria, Kaduna, Abuja, the mother of all roads in Nigeria.
From the Government House, the committee proceeds on the inspection tour. They engage the contractors on the road projects, just as the team leader describes the visit as a fruitful one.
We are satisfied with all the presentations they make. And of course, as I told you that, yes, I was one of them before, and now I'm at this side. So I know that, of course, I know the people are kind people I left. So we are satisfied with all what they are doing.
As the year 2022 gradually winds down, the committee is optimistic that the needed funds for the completion of the road projects will be captured in the 2023 budget.
Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State has challenged the All Progressives Congress-led federal government to fix deteriorating federal roads in the state rather than plotting his impeachment. The governor made the call during an event celebrating the defection of members representing Katsina Ala West State constituency from the APC into the PDP, a day after the member representing Makurdi North in the State Assembly, also elected on the platform of the APC, joined the PDP. Federal roads from the Makurdi-Otukpo to Enugu axis are in deplorable condition, just as the one from Makurdi through Katsina Ala to Taraba State, where motorists experience difficulty navigating through the road. With the state of the roads, Governor Samuel Ortom, who arrives at the Katsina Ala Stadium to receive APC campees into the PDP, is challenging the federal government to fix, instead of deploying scarce resources to mobilize his impeachment over allegations he is yet to inaugurate elected local government councils.
Today we are becoming APC House of Assembly members. How will they not cause for my impeachment? Because they know that the remaining 3 members that are in the House of Assembly out of 30. If I remain there as governor, before election, there will be no APC in Benue State. That is why they are calling for impeachment.
The lawmaker representing Makurdi North, who was elected on the platform of the APC, had on August 18, 2022, defected to the PDP, and his colleague from Katsina Ala West is doing same to further deplete the rank of APC legislators in the state.
The state belongs to PDP, and somebody who is an opposition in the state is rather working against the wishes of the people. It's not a mistake for someone like me to join PDP.
The Speaker of the House of Assembly admits that the PDP is synonymous with the protection of Benue people. Just as a former governor of the state shares his thoughts on the voter registration exercise.
All of us have discovered that today PDP has governed our own way of life in Benue. And it's not about the election, because at the end of the day there will be no other party in Benue. So what are you talking about the election? So on that day, it's just affirmation.
Registration now is 3 times more than what we had before, and we're ready to vote overwhelmingly for PDP. And so we're just waiting, we're campaigning, we're delivering on our promises.
With the defection of Mr. Thomas Kudi from Makurdi North and Jacob Orban from Katsina Ala West, along with their supporters, the APC now has only 3 out of the 30 member state assembly, making impeachment along party line an uphill task. The National Human Rights Commission is engaging traditional religious leaders and critical stakeholders on transitional justice as a means of reconciling aggrieved parties and communities devastated by the Boko Haram insurgency. With the theme promoting reconciliation, reintegration and transitional justice in Borno, Adamawa and Yobe states, the Commission says it seeks to explore transitional justice as a viable alternative to disputes and conflict resolution instead of the conventional court system.
These are representatives of the Ministries of Local Government Affairs, Justice, Office of the Governor on Sustainable Development Goals and Humanitarian Coordination, as well as religious and traditional leaders across the 27 local government areas of Borno State.
Another round of applause.
They're participating in this event intended to resolve conflict and address human rights violations arising from the Boko Haram insurgency without using conventional court systems. The Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission advocates transitional justice as a tool to resolving grievances arising from the Boko Haram insurgency.
It's cheaper
Transitional justice is an approach to systematic or massive violations of human rights, which provides redress to victims and creates opportunities for the transformation of the political systems, conflicts, and other conditions that may have been at the root of the abuses.
If you don't resolve these conflicts, if you don't address the issue of these violations, these communities may continue to feel this sense of injustice, and there will be no lasting peace, and there will be no development.
So far, over 5,000 FERMA insurgents have been reintegrated to various communities in Borno State, in line with the federal government's determination to reintegrate repentant insurgents to the society. Community leaders at the forum speak to Channels Television on their experiences with the repentant terrorists.
All of us in Goza, we are ready to accept them because they are my brothers. They are our brothers, and we are together before this insurgency happened.
Our concern is that government should open up so that everybody, justice is prepared within the community. Those who have perpetrators of this act that have immense effect on the community should be addressed accordingly. And those that have done, or they are just carried in alone through persuasion and by force should be forgiven, so that life will continue as normal.
At the end of the meeting, 2 standing committees are inaugurated to be made up of traditional and religious leaders, legal practitioners and security agents to fashion ways of entrenching dialogue, reconciliation and peaceful coexistence in some local government areas of Borno, Adamawa and Yobe states.
Reactions continue to trail the revocation of broadcast licenses of some media houses in Nigeria, as time coming from the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, which has asked the President to direct the National Broadcasting Commission and relevant ministries to withdraw the threat to revoke the licenses and shutdown of operations of 53 broadcast stations in the country over alleged failure to renew their licenses. SERAP says the threat is neither necessary nor proportionate, and if carried out, it would defend the legal principles of equity and equality of access to mass communication. The rights group argues that the threat is both inconsistent and incompatible with the principles of extant laws under the Nigerian Constitution 1999 and international human rights law, freedom and diversity, which must be guiding principles in the regulation and licensing of broadcasting. The NBC had last week revoked the licenses of 53 broadcast stations and threatened to shut down the operations within 24 hours over alleged 2.6 billion naira debt. Apostle Folorunsho Alakija, the servant leader of Rose of Sharon Glorious Ministries International, has hosted a 2-day crusade in the heart of Ikeja in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial nerve center. A crusade with the theme, Jesus is Coming Soon, witnessed people from all walks of life converging to participate in the event where Apostle Alakija preached on the second coming of Christ.
It's another glorious day in the calendar of the Rose of Sharon Glorious Ministry International. This time, in the heart of Ikeja for an open ground crusade with the theme, Jesus is Coming Soon. As the sun fell, people started making their way to the grounds for this 2-day encounter. From a solemn beginning, praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the earth hear his voice. Soon, the atmosphere became electrified with high praise and worship songs led by gospel musician Tosin B. I want that recorder, I want that recorder. As the service progressed, the servant leader and the pioneer of this work, Apostle Folorunsho Alakija, makes her way in. Moments later, she mounts the rostrum as the preacher of the night.
Grace is not going to be forever. it's not something that will not stop at some point.
She's not just called apostle for the sake of nomenclature. She actually functions in that office and capacity. The woman you call Africa's richest woman is daily deepening her resolve and dedication to serve God with her life and resources. In her sermon, which derived from the two-day meeting, Jesus is Coming Soon, Apostle Alakija speaks to the essence of God's grace and the provisions therein, and the need to embrace those provisions by acknowledging Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. She reminds the congregation and those who joined online of the consequences of rejecting the gift of salvation, because Jesus is coming back to judge and to reward.
What would Jesus find you doing? Will you be counted among those that would have gone up and had your bodies changed into immortal bodies? Would you have been counted amongst those, or would you have been left behind? But those who do not believe in him will do what? Will be condemned. I pray that you will seize the opportunity tonight so that you will not be counted amongst those that are already condemned.
This process isn't complete without a call to salvation prayers.
He said, whatever he has not imputed in your temple has to come out now. It cannot remain there, because light and darkness have no accord.
Apostle Alakija is huge on philanthropy, and it's obvious.
I got blind in year 2017, so actually I've married, but in year 2019 I lost my child in a motor accident, which she left a 3-year-old child for me alone. So, and after some months, through the home where I lived, they took me to our mommy. So, and since then, our mommy has took up my life and the life of the child, which she sponsored me to the university as he sponsored my child. And I give glory to God. The child is 6 years old now, doing well.
On the sidelines, she takes us briefly on her journey and convictions, sparing some time in between to also pray for Nigeria.
I do remember making a covenant with God several years back when I said, Lord, if you will bless me, I will work for you all the days of my life. He did his, and I'm doing mine. So wherever he leads, I follow. And I make sure that I obey whatever he tells me to do.
Make a prayer over this country, Nigeria, in line with everything you want to achieve for the Lord.
Nigeria, I pray for you. Hear the word of the Lord. Nigeria, you will prosper. No evil will befall this country. Our country is God's country. God will make a difference by himself. He will turn this country around for the better. And as he turns it around, every citizen will prosper. Every citizen, the life of every citizen will be renewed. We will live in plenty. We will enjoy his presence. We will enjoy all that he has created for us in this country. No evil shall befall us anymore in this country, in the name of Jesus.
The Crusade Train, which of course, the Rays of Sharon Glorious Ministry, which started in 2004, will be making a stop at a neighborhood near you soon, we are told. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Let's turn to healthcare now, where Yobe State Governor Mai Mala Buni has reiterated his commitment to provide a universal healthcare coverage for all residents in the state to avert rising mortality and morbidity in the state. The governor, represented by the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Lawan Gana, disclosed this at the commissioning of a trauma center and emergency pediatric extension unit constructed under its agency's Saving 1 Million Lives program and multi-sectoral recovery project in Damaturu, the state capital.
Damaturu, the Yobe state capital, had within the last few years witnessed the influx of internally displaced persons into the state capital, some of whom are in dire need of medical attention. The State Commissioner for Health and other top government officials are therefore here at the Damaturu Specialist Hospital to commission 2 milestone projects. First to be commissioned is the trauma center that will provide advanced trauma life support, fully equipped to meet the needs of evaluation and stabilization of patients. The team proceeds to the Emergency Pediatric Extension Unit, which has a good number of pediatric beds.
One of the things and the challenges we are having is what is the center where, apart from our respective facility, extra emergencies, we don't have specific designated trauma center where a high management cases of accidents, other emergency will be handled. So I think this is the essence why the Honorable Commissioner, His Excellency the Governor, Mema Labuni, has built the building, and the Honorable Commissioner, on behalf of the Governor, has commissioned that trauma center.
As for the emergency pediatric unit, is also part of the issues that His Excellency is addressing, because we've been having high cases of malaria and so on. Last year and the year before, we had several problems around admissions and so on.
The Chief Medical Director of Yobe Specialist Hospital is appreciative of the move by the government, as he believes it will reduce their challenge of overcrowding in the hospital.
So having an extension will actually improve bed space, and then it will improve care. So these two facilities will go a long way in improving quality services in the state.
As the team heads to Women and Children Hospital, Damatru, to inspect the medical team undertaking viscovaginal fistula operation to 25 patients from across the 17 local government councils of the state, residents are optimistic of accessing quality health care in Yobe State.
And happening in Bauchi State, the Governor, Bala Muhammad, is optimistic. A newly signed contributory pension law in the state will allow the state government clear its backlog of gratuity that has accumulated to the tune of 26 billion naira. He reiterates his administration's commitment to improving the well-being of the people of the state amidst the harsh economic realities. He was speaking while handing over empowerment items to beneficiaries in Kirfi and Al-Kaleri local government areas of the state. Our correspondent, Hajira Aliyu, reports.
It is a joyous moment for Hawa, who has just obtained a new sewing machine, and Umar, a physically challenged person from Kirfi local government area of Bauchi State, who is also being empowered with provision items by Governor Bala Muhammad under the Kaura Economic Empowerment Program. Both of them plan to set up small businesses that will provide steady income streams for themselves and their families.
You know, women, they manage whatever they have. They are going to be selling it gradually. She will sell it gradually, and then that money that she will get, she will continue doing the business together with it.
Some of the beneficiaries from Kirfi went home with cash support, and others were empowered with items based on their business ideas. From Kirfi, the governor and his entourage moved to Al-Kaleri local government area, his home base, for a similar empowerment program. It is the 18th local government area to benefit, with over 1 billion naira expended so far.
We cannot just provide roads and infrastructure without providing empowerment. We are regretting the situation we find ourselves because the resources are very scarce.
In order to further cushion the economic hardship on the people, Governor Muhammad speaks about other fiscal plans, especially for pensioners.
And of course, we have signed a law that will enable us pay our gratuity to our people who have retired, which is a backlog of unpaid gratuity by past administration to the tune of 26 billion. So far, we only paid about 3 billion because of the scarcity of resources. But we are now in a position to liberate on this law, to pull out a bond and take money and pay everybody.
As the empowerment exercise comes to a close, some politicians use the occasion to announce their defection from the APC to the PDP. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
And now to the arts. Orila Fiju is an exhibition by two generations at the Terra Culture Gallery in Lagos. Father and son, Segun and Gbenga Adeku, display a marriage of neo-traditional and contemporary art on Art Review tonight.
Father and son show the strength of family ties in Orila Finju, an exhibition by two generations, Segun and Gbenga Adeku, at the Terra Culture Gallery in Lagos.
Today's exhibition is in line with Terra Culture's theme and Terra Culture's goal to always push boundaries and bring you something new, something different, and something ingenious. And as such, today we have a duo exhibition, meaning two artists, a father and son, so it's a sentimental kind of exhibition.
With a filial affection on display, the audience can feel the bond these creatives share through the images which are being showcased.
Almost 50 years or more, I have been working on what is the meaning of life. It's just like my work here, which I call Death of a Young Plant. It's about human environment that is not positive. You know, something I call Death of a Young Plant is something about things that are not working well, and I try to show it. So the young plant that is being eaten by grasshopper and the effect on the people when the farm products are eaten by locusts or something like that, and it brings suffering. So that I call Death of a Young Plant. And you could see that the people are really very sad.
Love, happiness, and joy exudes from each of the pieces, from the subject to the titles.
For Segun Adeku, he's saying that your mind can decide whether you are happy or not, and that your happiness can actually affect others. If you walk into an office space and you're smiling, everybody becomes elated, and then productivity is better that way. But then if you walk there sad, it affects everybody else. And also, sad things can be happening around you and you can decide to be happy. That's what his work is saying. While my work is saying that we humans were the one who decided that plastic is waste. I actually don't believe it's waste. I believe it's a very premium art material, because we have an art material that could last over 400 years in a very bad condition. What if I have it indoor, like under my air conditioning or my wall, where no weather is touching it? It could say thousands of years, right? So it's actually a premium material. So I'm telling us that we could rethink how we use plastic, or the value that plastics themselves have, and that way we would have a cleaner environment.
Relationships are a big part of our cultural values, and these artists have shown how the mind of man births joy through the traditional and contemporary images in this exhibition hall.
Beyond our shores now, the 29-year-old daughter of a close ally of President Vladimir Putin has been killed in a suspected car bombing in Moscow. Daria Dugina died after an explosion on a road outside Moscow. It is thought her father, the Russian philosopher Alexander Dugin, who is known as Putin's brain, may have been the intended target of the attack. Dugin is a prominent ultra-nationalist ideologue who is believed to be close to the Russian president. He and his daughter had been at a festival near Moscow where he gave a lecture. The pair were due to leave the venue on Saturday evening in the same car before Mr. Dugin reportedly made a decision at the last minute to travel separately. The death toll of people trapped in a hotel taken over by al-Shabaab militants in Somalia has risen to at least 21. Security forces have been trying to rescue as many people since the siege began on the Hyatt Hotel in Mogadishu on Friday evening. Somalia security forces say they've ended the siege of the hotel and helped with the release of dozens of people who had been taken hostage in the standoff. Elite armed forces battled the militants for 30 hours after the attackers blasted and shot their way into the Hyatt Hotel, considered popular with lawmakers and other government officials. Witnesses say the first car bomb rammed into the perimeter wall of the hotel, causing a huge explosion followed by extensive gunfire exchanged between the attackers and hotel security. A special police unit later came in and rescued several guests. including businessmen and staff from the hotel. One police officer said security forces managed to neutralize the militants who were holed up inside a room on the top floor. Only 12 people were confirmed dead by Saturday. Gunfire could be heard on Saturday evening, while small explosions were visible in the built-up areas surrounding the hotel. As the siege entered its second day on Saturday evening, authorities had secured 95% of the building. By Sunday, the police and military said the siege had ended, and they had rescued 106 hostages, including women and children. Cleanup operation also began in the morning. Friday's attack was the first such major incident since President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud took office in May. The al-Qaeda-linked al-Shabaab group claimed responsibility for the attack. Al-Shabaab has been fighting to topple the Somali government for more than a decade. It wants to establish its own rule based on a strict interpretation of Islamic law. At least 4 people have been killed after a landslide demolished a Shiite Muslim shrine in the central Iraqi province of Kerbala. Health authorities say rescue workers pulled out 6 survivors from the rubble after the landslide, which occurred on Saturday. A search and rescue operation was continuing in case more people remain buried under the rubble. The Qatarat Al-Imam Al-Shrine is located in the western desert, about 28 kilometers from the center of the holy city of Kerbala. Initial information suggests that humidity had triggered the landslide, which hit the ceiling of the shrine and caused it to collapse. Well, coming back home, this just in, Nigerian Army says it's investigating a report about the arrest of by the Nigeria police of 2 soldiers said to have been allegedly involved in the murder of a Yobe State Islamic scholar. The Islamic scholar, Sheikh Goni Gashua, was murdered in the early hours of Saturday. A spokesperson for the Nigerian Army, Sector 2 of Operation Hadinkai, Captain Kennedy Anyanwu, stated this in a statement he issued today, in which he said the Army, in collaboration with the Yobe State Police Command, is carrying out investigation to unravel the identity of the suspected soldiers. Captain Anyanwu says a board of inquiry has also been set up to unravel the circumstance surrounding the unfortunate incident, and that at the end of the investigation, the soldiers will be made to face the full wrath of both military and civil laws if found guilty. In sports news, Nigeria's pound-for-pound #1 fighter Kamaru Usman has vowed to bounce back after his loss. He lost his UFC welterweight title to England's Leon Edwards. Usman was knocked out cold with a vicious kick to the head in the final seconds of the contest to end his title defense in UFC 278. Usman was leading on points before the knockout by Edwards. He's expected to get a rematch with Edwards for the belt. And Anthony Joshua was in tears in his post-match press conference after losing his decisive rematch with Alexander Usyk on Saturday night in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. After failing in his attempt to win back the unified WBA and IBF heavyweight titles from Usyk, he was visibly enraged in the ring after the contest. Attempting to explain how he felt, the 2-time world champion faltered as he choked back tears, holding his head in his hands.
It wasn't enough, but I left everything in the gym. If I would have left everything in the ring, I would have won. But I definitely pushed myself in training camp to make sure the fight was more competitive. You're angry, you might do stupid things, so I was mad. But then I realized, oh shit, this is sport. Let me do the right thing and come back. And then I just spoke from my heart. Like, it's been so tough. Like, you see AJ holding it together, yeah, and I'm a hustler, so I try and put things together. It's really, really hard for me to say I'm proud of myself. I don't feel anything. I'm just, well, I'm upset, really, like deep down in my heart. Like, oh, man. Oh. What?
Well, the opposite happened to Alexander Usyk, who's called for an undisputed heavyweight world championship clash, this time with Tyson Fury after retaining his WBO, WBA and IBF titles with a spectacular split decision rematch victory over Anthony Joshua. Usyk delivered a boxing masterclass in Jeddah on Saturday night to repeat last year's victory over two-time world champion Joshua, who put up a courageous and improved display against the Ukrainian. He also dedicated his victory to Ukraine, with the rematch having been delayed following Russia's invasion of the country in February. Football now. Manchester City staged a thrilling fight back as the Premier League champions rescued a 3-3 draw against Newcastle in matchday 3 tie played earlier today. Pep Guardiola's side were in danger of a first league defeat since February after falling 3-1 behind in the second half at St James's Park. But Erling Haaland sparked City's revival with his third goal for the club before Bernardo Silva's equaliser completed the escape act. Earlier, Chelsea suffered their first Premier League defeat this season as Edward Mendy's embarrassing blunder put Leeds on course for a 3-0 win. At the London Stadium, Brighton added to West Ham's woes with an impressive 2-0 victory. And the main news again. Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka has blamed Nigeria's security challenges on distortion of history and selective punishment for lawbreakers. Professor Soyinka was speaking in an exclusive interview with Channels Television. And that's it on the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.